Have you ever wondered what the truly wealthy do that's so different? Well, it turns out it's not really about luck. It's about a specific set of habits. Today, we're going to dive into the mindset shifts and the practical actions that build real, lasting wealth. And we're doing it all through the eyes of a journalist who spent nearly 2 decades getting up close and personal with it. So our guide for this is Sonia Shenoy. And get this, for 17 years, she wasn't just reporting on the markets. She was in the room, interviewing the legends, the business titans, the people who really built something. She got to see firsthand what separates them from everyone else, and she boiled it all down into some powerful, repeatable habits. And what's really fascinating is that these habits aren't just a random list of tricks. They actually fit perfectly into 2 big categories. First, you've got the internal game, the psychology, the mindset you bring to everything. And then there's the external game, the practical, deliberate actions you take with your money. And here's the key. You absolutely need both to win. Okay, so let's start with the foundation, because honestly, everything else is built on top of this. Before you can even think about building wealth in your bank account, you have to build the right frame of mind. It all starts with mastering your mindset. The first huge shift is moving away from scarcity and into abundance. A scarcity mindset sees limits and problems everywhere. But an abundance mindset, it sees opportunity. It's all about taking smart, calculated risks, not being reckless, but being willing to bet on yourself, to invest in new skills or new ideas, because you genuinely believe in the potential for growth. And this right here perfectly explains the next mental habit. Let's say a stock you own suddenly tanks by 20%. System 1 thinking is that instant gut punch reaction, that voice in your head screaming, "Sell, get out now." It's super fast, totally emotional, and let's be honest, often wrong. The wealthy, though, they work on building up their System 2 thinking. They actually pause, they take a breath, and they start asking questions. Wait, why did it fall? Is the company's long-term story still good? They use logic, not panic. And that kind of deliberate thinking leads right into this next crucial point. They play the long game. The real magic of building wealth isn't in some quick stock flip. It's in the slow, steady, incredible power of compounding. They're not worried about next month, they are planning for the next decade. And Sonia Shenoy's own story is just a brilliant example of this in action. So, back in 2014, she started her very first SIP, a systematic investment plan. And it wasn't some huge, life-changing amount of money, it was just 20,000 rupees a month, a consistent, manageable, simple step. Now listen, this is the part where most people just give up. For the first 5 years, she saw pretty much no returns. In fact, there were times she was losing money. She kept buying into a volatile market, but she did not stop. She stuck with it. And it was only after that 5-year mark that the magic she talks about, that incredible, almost unbelievable power of compounding, really started to show up. So what was the result? What did that decade of patience and long-term thinking actually lead to? Well, that simple 20,000 rupee monthly investment grew to a portfolio worth over 80 lakhs. That, right there, is the massive payoff of thinking in decades, not in days. All right, the final piece of the mindset puzzle is a bit more subtle. Wealthy people don't chase money. It's just not what they do. Instead, they focus on creating value, on solving problems, on building things. They see money as a natural byproduct of creating all that value, not the goal itself. And that totally changes their relationship with it. Okay, so you've got the mindset on lock. But look, a great mindset without action is really just a daydream, right? So now let's get into the outer game, the specific, deliberate actions the wealthy take to turn that powerful mindset into actual, tangible results. The first action is maybe the most powerful of all, mainly because it takes willpower completely out of the equation. It's automation. It's so simple. As soon as their money hits their account, a set amount is automatically whisked away into their investments. They invest first, and then they spend whatever is left over. It's never the other way around. This guarantees they're consistent, month in and month out, no matter what's going on. And this leads us to a fundamental truth. So many of us are obsessed with getting that next raise or boosting our income. And yeah, that's great. But the wealthy, they obsess over something totally different. Their savings rate. That gap between what you earn and what you spend, that's the fuel for your wealth engine. You can have a huge income, but if you have huge expenses, you're building nothing. This means you have to actively fight against lifestyle inflation. You know, that tendency to spend more every single time you get a raise? It's about focusing on value. Shenoy tells this great story about a veteran investor named Ramesh Dani. The man has a net worth of hundreds of crores, but he lives a surprisingly simple life, even driving the same car for years. He's focused on being wealthy, not just looking wealthy.
So, when should you put all this stuff into practice? The simple answer is right now, as early as you possibly can. According to what Shenoy has seen, that decade between the ages of 25 and 35 is absolutely critical. That's usually when you have fewer big responsibilities and the most time for your money to grow. It is your golden decade for building a solid foundation. And this chart just shows you why so clearly. Look at the staggering difference. Investor A starts at 25, Investor B waits just 10 years and starts at 35, investing the exact same amount. The final result isn't just a little bit different, it's worlds apart. That lost decade of compounding is a hole that is incredibly hard to dig out of. The cost of waiting is just immense.
So, as we bring this all together, you can see it's not just a list of 8 random tips. It's a complete 2-part formula. It's a system for building your financial future. So here's what it all comes down to. You've got to master the inner game. Build that abundance mindset, think in decades, and use that slow, logical System 2 thinking. And then you have to execute the outer game. Automate your investments, get that savings rate as high as you can, and for goodness sake, start as early as possible. You combine those two and you have an incredibly powerful engine for building wealth. But at the end of the day, these habits aren't really about piling up a giant number in a bank account. They're about creating freedom, about creating options for your life. So the real question isn't just how much you can build, but what you plan to do with it. Wealth is just a tool. The real question is, what will you build?